What's up guys, Perry here, and we are back with another Anime Defenders video. And in today's video we're going to be doing a spirit tier list for Anime Defenders Update 4. If you guys aren't aware of what spirits are, they're basically this new thing added into the game. You can summon for them. If you get some spirit orbs, we have a ton of spirits to go over, and some of these spirits are quite literally game changing. They can make or break some of your builds. Very overpowered. A lot of these spirits are better than most traits, and that includes legendary traits too, which is crazy. So without any further ado, we're going to go through these one by one, talking about where they land on the tier list, which units they're best for, and things of that nature. So let's get started with the most common spirit, and whoops, dropped my phone. Anyways, let's get started with the most common spirit and one of the most overpowered ones, Golden Spirit. This is going straight into S tier, and here's why. Number one, you can't go wrong with this spirit. Right, you can put this on any unit and it's going to be beneficial. There are some spirits later on into the tier list that don't even work for certain units. But if you get this, like, it might not be what you were going for a certain unit, but you're not going to be mad about it. 20% more money is useful regardless of the situation. And this is incredibly useful for farm units. This is a must-have spirit for any of your farm units. Put this on your pink rock stars, put this on your pink demon mages, put this on your Bulmas. Not only is this better than Midas Touch, mind you, Midas Touch is a 1.5% trait, and trait rerolls are incredibly expensive. Nowadays, they sell like 400 gems for one trait reroll. So yeah, traits are pretty hard to get. Spirits are extremely easy to get, and this is the most common spirit in the game. Guys, this is an automatic S tier. Try to roll this on all of your support units. It will go an extremely long way. It's literally just a better Midas Touch, and if you're like me and you already have Midas Touch on your supports, you can stack both of these for 35% more money, which is just absolutely crazy. Moving on to our next spirit, we're going to be looking at Arcane excuse me, Arcane Spirit. Now, I want to put this in S tier, but it's a little bit situational, so I'm just going to put it in the A tier. What Arcane Spirit does, when attacking shielded enemies, ignore shields and directly damage health/armor. This is incredibly useful for two game modes. Number one, Tower of Eternity. When you're getting into those higher floors, all of the enemies spawn in with shields, which can be a little annoying, but this spirit mitigates that problem completely. You can just start damaging them straight through the shields. You don't even need to worry about that. If you have this on a good unit, you're set for the entire run. And another game mode where I think Arcane Spirit is incredibly useful is Portals. Because in Portals, these guys are spawning in with shields up the ass. Like, you just started the game and there's already a unit with 4 separate shields on him. And it's not even the shield modifier. And I'm like, what the heck? So, Arcane Spirit, I'd say, is a must-have for Portals. If you don't have a unit with Arcane Spirit in Portals, you are not going to be having fun. Because some of these units are spawning in with so many shields off rip, it's borderline a requirement to have this. The reason I say it's not S tier is because you don't need this for every game mode. Golden Spirit, you do need this for every game mode. I don't see a game mode where this isn't useful. Arcane Spirit, it's more like, it's good, don't get me wrong, but it's not a must-have for every single game mode. Like, you can do just fine in this without this in infinite mode, story mode, Hall of Mirrors, raids. You don't need this. It has its specific use case scenarios, but it really shines in those scenarios. And on top of that, being able to bypass shields is also universally pretty useful. Just not as good as some of the other things that we have in this list. So with that being said, let's move on to our next spirit, and that is Crimson Spirit. And if you don't know what Crimson Spirit does, it increases burn/bleed damage inflicted to enemies by 50%. Automatic S tier. Oh my god. 50% more damage over time on bleed and burn units, that's insane. If you put that on a Natsu or Flame Dragon God, put that on a Crimson Demon Ninja, put that on a Cursed Lord or Sukuna, whatever you want to call him, you're going to be increasing their DPS so much, it's going to be like having Requiem on him. It's going to be better than having Requiem on him. Because for some units, especially in Natsu's case, a good chunk of his DPS comes from that burn damage. And the fact that you're increasing the burn damage by 50%, and this spirit is pretty common too, 12%, not hard to get at all. This is just incredibly useful for any game mode. If you're a free-to-play player and you don't have secrets quite yet, I know most people opt for some of the more meta mythics that are hybrid, like, you know, Flame Dragon God, Crimson Demon Ninja, Sukuna. We also have nothing's coming to mind, but I know there are more meta hybrids. What I'm trying to say is, if you're a free-to-play player and you just started, you're not going to be having secrets off the bat. So this is going to go a long way towards helping you in any single game mode. Incredibly good for increasing DPS. This is a must-have on any burn, any bleed unit. You're going to want this. So up next, let's see, which spirit do we have next? We have Galactic Spirit. Increases unit damage and range by 5%, increases critical chance by 20%, and decreases cooldown by 5%. Holy shit, this is an S tier. Guys, let me explain to you, if it wasn't obvious enough, why this is an automatic S tier. Just look at the benefits to drawbacks ratio. You're getting more range, more damage, 20% crit chance. That is what really makes the spirit amazing for me. Because normally on a unit, right? Let's look at the units that we have, right? Let's say you have a unit with Brawler, right? This guy, he has Brawler 3, Swiftness 3, but he has no critical. Meaning every single attack that he does will never proc crit. He's never going to be doing that extra damage. And I have a really old video talking about how critical is one of the best traits and a really underrated trait in the game. But I'm not going to go into that. I will tell you guys, having no critical on your unit really hurts it, right? I'd argue Requiem isn't as good as Precision. In fact, Requiem might not even be as good as Critical 3 in some scenarios. And, you know, you might call me crazy for that. But that's a whole different discussion. What I'm trying to say is 20% crit chance means that your unit, even if they don't have a critical trait, they are going to be doing crit damage regardless. So you're basically giving yourself critical, plus more damage, plus more range, at the cost of reducing your SPA or your attack cooldown by 5%. Dude, 5% is nothing. That's negligible. You don't care about 5% when you're getting 3 different benefits that are 10 times better. Galactic Spirit is an easy S tier. I really think that this is good on any unit. I don't see a single unit where you would get it and be like, oh damn, that's gotta reroll that, man, that's bad. Besides a support unit, obviously, or a farm unit. But if you get this on any damage unit, like any of your main damage dealers, this is not bad at all. I see this being good in literally every game mode. There's no game mode where this wouldn't be good, and for that, we are going to put it in a very easy S tier. Up next, we have Dark Spirit. Increases range by 30%, reduces cooldown by 15%, but decreases damage by 30%. Man, oh man. That 30% damage decrease is just abhorrent. It is diabolical. It is going into D tier. 30% less damage? Dude. You're basically cutting your DPS by 1/3. In return, what do you get? Wow, more range and you attack faster, bro. Who cares if you're tickling the enemies? I don't want more range and more attack speed if my damage is going to be cut by nearly 1/3. This is an automatic D tier. If you get this, re-roll immediately. What unit would you want to be doing less damage but have more range and more SPA? I know what you're going to say. Oh, well, what if I have a Katakuri or an Ice Dragon Queen or, you know, insert support unit and I want them to slow or apply their status effect more often? Trust me, you don't need this. This is going to be doing more harm than good. I don't even know why this is a 7.5% spirit. Its rarity should be like, it shouldn't even be in the game. This spirit sucks. I'm glad it's kind of rare though, which means you weren't not going to be getting it as often. Guys, don't get Darkness Spirit. If you do get it, you know, my prayers go out to you. Reroll immediately. Up next, we have the Ice Spirit. And this is going to increase slow / stun duration on enemies by 30%. Ooh, this is a very, very decent spirit. Now, albeit this spirit only works for very certain units, that being units that slow or stun, which is why it's going to go into B tier. Don't let this ranking distract you from this spirit though. This is still an insanely good spirit, and it is a absolute must-have on units like, let me see, do I have any on me? Yeah, units like Ice Dragon Queen, Donut Master. You want this on them. Probably the best spirit that you could ever get on them. You're just making them 30% better for free with no drawback. The reason it's in B tier is just because it only works on really specific units, but it's still decent. You know, it's still good. I still think you should roll for this on all of your support units. This is literally the best spirit for support units. Really, really good. Up next, we have the Fire Spirit. Every 6th attack applies a burn, dealing 60% of the unit's damage over 3 seconds, stacks with other burns. This is boring. Pretty lame. Every 6th attack you're doing burn. Kind of underwhelming. This is going straight into mid tier, and here's why. So, it's going to be on every 6th attack, right? So you're going to have to attack 6 whole times before you proc a singular burn that doesn't even do your full unit's damage for 3 seconds. Wow, you know, we're not exactly going to be rolling out the red carpet for this spirit. It is not very good. In fact, Crimson Spirit, which is more common, is just 10 times better for burn units than this is. Who cares if this stacks with other burns? You're doing yourself a disservice by not getting the better burn spirit. This is just mid. Like, sure, it's useful, right? You're just doing more damage and it applies to any unit. You're giving them free burn damage, but there are just spirits that are so much better than this. You don't want to be using your spirit slot on something that isn't going to be helping you as much as the stuff that's on the higher tiers. So that's why we're going to be putting Fire Spirit into C tier. Up next, Crystal Spirit. Increases damage dealt to bosses by 50%. My oh my. I am tempted to put this into the S tier, but I'm just going to put it at very, very high A tier above Arcane, and here's why. Increases damage dealt to bosses by 50% is absolutely insane. This is going to help you a ton in literally every game mode, story mode, infinite, raids, Tower of Eternity, portals. But here's my thing about that. In a good chunk of this game's content, I'm talking story mode, I'm talking portals, maybe not Tower of Eternity, I'm talking challenges, raids. Your units are already going to be doing enough damage to kill the boss anyway. The reason that this is just so good is because this is like every leaderboard player's dream, right? You're doing 50% more damage to the big bad bosses, which are usually the ones that kill you instantly. You don't have that much trouble dealing with the individual enemies, but it's still super tanky bosses that usually end most runs. And that can also apply to things like Tower of Eternity when, you know, you're by yourself, it's 15 waves, and the main deciding factor between being able to go one extra floor or losing is being able to kill that boss. So being able to deal 50% more damage to that boss regardless of your unit, this works on every single unit, that is insanely good. It's not going to go into S tier because I don't think it's as universally versatile as the ones that we have in S tier, but it's still incredibly good. Must have for leaderboard runs maybe. I'm not an expert though, don't quote me on that. Still, I think it's a great spirit regardless. We're going to move on to Earth Spirit. And what does this do? Stuns all enemies by pinning them to the ground for 4 seconds, has a 30-second cooldown. This is okay. But here's my thing about it. Stuns all enemies. I was talking to my Discord about this, and I told them, what's the point of this if enemies are immune to all stuns and slows for 30 seconds? This isn't even going to stack with other slows. What am I doing? This seems mid. But then I did a little bit of testing and I found out that, you know, this might have been like a coding bug. Maybe this was unintentional. Maybe it was a game design choice. But spirit effects, like, you know, spirits, slows, stuns, things like that, don't clash with normal stuns and normal slows. So what am I trying to say in Layton's terms? This stacks with normal support unit abilities, which is really, really good. Do I think it's S tier? Definitely not. Do I think it's A tier? Also maybe not. Do I think it's decent? Absolutely. Decent, and I'm going to put it above the little Ice Spirit. Why? Because the ability to, you know, just outright stop enemies from moving for 4 seconds is very, very good stall. It's going to give your units more time to do damage. Useful in any game mode. But I think there's a better stalling ability later down on the tier list that I will be putting in A tier. And Earth Spirit just, frankly, isn't as good. It just gets outclassed, in my opinion at least. Still a very decent spirit. Don't let it deter from the fact that it's pretty useful. Get this on, like, I don't know, an Ice Dragon Queen. You could be doing double stun, if that's how it works. Not 100% sure. But, you know, it's decent. Can't go wrong with a decent spirit. Up next, Sacred Spirit. Deal 30% more damage with when no other units are within range. Guys, here's my thing about this, right? It's good until you read that very last part, when no other units are in range. That basically kills the spirit, and it's going into the bottom of B tier, and here's why. When you're doing most content in the game, your units are going to have some pretty big range. I'm talking about Gojo, most secrets. I'm talking about that new exclusive hill unit girl. I think her name's Legion Commander, Legion Captain, whatever her name is. What I'm trying to say is, once you already get all of your units situated and upgraded, the range is going to be really big. 99% of the time, they're going to be within range of other units. And this spirit is just outright useless, because if you're not catering to the very, very specific playstyle that it wants you to play by, which is, hey, put your unit down, upgrade them as much as you want, but you better not ever place a unit next to them. Well, if you don't want to abide by those rules, and most of the time you're not even going to be able to, because, you know, either off muscle memory or just spamming all your units down, or it's annoying to have to, you know, meticulously place every single unit just so they're out of range so they can get that 30% more damage. This is mid. 30% more damage overall is good, don't get me wrong. It increases your DPS, and, you know, it's useful in any game mode, but it's that fact that you can't be within range of literally any other unit. That includes support units, mind you. I just don't think it's that good. So for that, we're going to put it in B tier. Up next, whoops, drop my phone again. Up next, Light Spirit. Reduces the placement and upgrade cost of the unit by 15%. My oh my. I really, really like the Light Spirit. And I think, where is it? Okay, well, I forgot to add the Light Spirit into this tier list. Whoopsie daisy. I'll tell you guys where I'm going to place it anyway. So, reduces the placement and upgrade cost by 15%. I'll let you guys in on a little secret. This is currently bugged, and Light Spirit does not decrease your unit placement by 15%. How can I tell? Because I got this on my Pink Demon Mage. Let me show you guys real quick, if I can find her. Am I tweaking? Where is she? Hold on. Pink Demon Mage, hello? Where are you? Okay, I'm gonna have to search her up. There we go. So yeah, I got this spirit on my Pink Demon Mage. As you can tell, her upgrade cost is not reduced. I went in game because I thought maybe it was a visual bug. No, it's just not reduced at all. So half of this spirit's like upside is non-existent. It doesn't even work. It's bugged. Now you do decrease the upgrade cost by 15%, which is really, really good on support units. Probably good on any unit. What was I talking about? Light Spirit. Yeah, so here's the thing about Light Spirit for me, right? It's not gonna be good for endgame content. What do I mean by this? Excuse me. In Infinites, in Hall of Mirrors, in Raids, when you have ample time to upgrade everything, why do you care when, like, if you're doing it a little bit cheaper? It doesn't matter. You're gonna have enough time to get all of your units maxed out regardless. Now, don't get me wrong, this spirit is still very, very useful. Great quality of life change to just be able to upgrade your units at a way, way cheaper price. 15% is a pretty good margin. I tried it on my Pink Demon Mage, and, you know, her final upgrade cost 11,000. It took it down to 9,000 something, which is pretty nice. Still, light, or what's this called again? Yeah, light spirit, not the best of the best. But if I had to rank it somewhere, I'm gonna put it at either very high B tier or low A tier. Unfortunately, I forgot to add that into the tier list, but you know, just keep in mind light spirit is either low A or high B. Next up, mirror spirit. Every 5th attack, the unit enters a frenzy, reducing cooldowns by 35% for 8 seconds, has a 15-second cooldown. This is okay. So let's break this down real quick, right? So you have to do 5 attacks before this even procs. Some spirits work on every single attack off spawn. That's already taken away points from mirror spirit. That's number 1. Number 2. You attack 35% faster for 8 seconds. Okay, we love to see it. That's good. More damage. But, you know, if attacking faster is what you wanted to do, then, you know, you could have gone for something like a Dark Spirit. Even though I know what I said, that it's D tier. If you purely want to attack faster, just take this. Because if you wanted to attack faster, you didn't care about damage anyway. But what I'm trying to say is, Mirror Spirit is mid. Like, it's a 2% drop, which I'm kind of glad, because it's not that good. And honestly, I think I'm gonna put Mirror Spirit, I'm thinking between, it's kind of mid. Yeah, we're gonna put Mirror Spirit in C tier. Don't get me wrong, it's a good spirit, but there are some spirits that absolutely outclass this in the damage department and the versatility department. Why would you want something that isn't even as good as the top tiers? And it's harder to get too. Like, the top tiers are common and this is 2%, so don't really grind for this. Like, don't go for this actively. Don't spend all of your crystal orbs on trying to get this, because it's not even good. Anyways, up next we have the Storm Spirit. Now, what does this do? Decreases unit cooldowns by 25%. Okay, we like this. This is a very, very good spirit. It has no downside. It is just pure upside. This is going into high A tier, probably top of A tier or low S tier. I'm debating it, but I'm just gonna put it at high A tier for now. 25% less cooldown, dude. That's a better Sonic. Look, hold on. Let me look at the chances. Sonic is a 1% drop that decreases cooldown by 20%. And what is this? Storm Spirit has a higher rarity, 1.5 times percent, and it's better than Sonic. Keep in mind they stack, so that's even crazier. But yeah, you're attacking 25% faster. This is just an overall DPS increase. You're going to be doing more damage, attacking faster, breaking shields faster, breaking armor faster. What more can I say about this spirit that hasn't already been said? It's good. It's great. You can't go wrong with this. This is good on any unit. It's universally versatile in any game mode. Solid spirit. We're putting that in the top of A tier. Up next, we have Enchanted Spirit. So this has a 10% chance to summon a fallen enemy to fight for you with 25% of its original HP. This is basically just Sung Jin Woo, but for any unit. And don't get me wrong, that's okay. But, you know, 10% chance to summon a fallen enemy. Sung Jin Woo has way higher than a 10% chance. This is like 90% chance. Now, I know I'm comparing a secret unit to a spirit, but this is a 1% spirit. This is rare, right? And, you know, logically, the rarer spirits are supposed to be better and harder to get, right? So I'm going to put this on a little bit of a higher pedestal. And it, frankly, just doesn't stack up. This is mid. And if it's not mid, then it's bottom of B tier. But I'm going to put this in mid. Why? Because, you know, summoning enemies, it's cool, I guess, you know, assuming that it functions the same way as Sung Jin Woo does. It'll hit flying enemies for you, which is also a nice bonus. But like I said, some spirits just do the job better. They do more damage better. They kill better. They just make your life easier. And Enchanted Spirit, don't get me wrong, it's still useful. You're not outright like shooting yourself in the foot as if you were using Dark Spirit, but I don't know, it's pretty mid for a 1% drop, and frankly, there are just better spirits, so we're going to put it in C tier. Up next, we have Divine Spirit. Inflicts confused on enemies every 30 seconds, causing them to walk backwards. Now, I thought this sucked. I started talking to my Discord, and, you know, they really opened my eyes. They opened my third eye. Now I can see things that I didn't see before. This is S tier. S tier, probably high S tier, like middle of S tier. I'm just going to put it in S tier. This is a must-have. Why? Well, here's the thing. This is just 10 times better than Earth Spirit because it makes the enemies walk back. So even though they're not stunned, they're walking backwards. The amount of time that you're stalling is more than the Earth Spirit. Sure, it has a 30-second cooldown, but if you're pairing this up with other stuns like, you know, Ice Dragon Queen stun or Katakuri Slow, this is going to stack with it. So not only are they going to be walking backwards, after that, they're going to be like frozen in place. This is incredibly good for leaderboard runs. I've seen some people tell me, oh, I reached like, you know, round 200 plus on Infinite because this spirit carried me. I just had this on all of my units and I was stalling out so much. I was doing so much more damage. It's really a lifesaver. And, you know, they proved it to me. I saw the clips and I was like, damn, you're right. This is good. So yeah, Divine Spirit, easy S tier. Very, very good for stalling. Very, very decent spirit. And our last spirit that we're going to look at. True Spirit, this is the rarest spirit in the game, almost as rare as Almighty, clocking in a 0.3% drop chance. The unit deals an additional 5% damage for each enemy within its range, up to a maximum of 75% damage. Guys, this is mid. I'm going to put this at B tier, like a little bit of mid B tier. And here's why. Okay, 75% more damage sounds good on paper. That's literally better than every other damage trait in this game. Like, what's the best damage trait in this game? Yeah, 20%. Okay, let's ignore Almighty. We're not thinking about Almighty. This is better than every other trait besides Almighty, and it's better than every other spirit, in theory. Right? On paper, it's the best. Here's the thing that you're forgetting. So, 75 divided by 5. Let's do some quick math. That's going to be 15. So you need 15 enemies to be around your unit to be getting the most value out of this spirit. In most scenarios, that's never going to be the case. Your units are just going to... excuse me. Your units are just going to outright one-tap them. And if they don't, they're going to two-tap them. You're not going to be surrounded by units most of the time. So you're not even going to be getting that much value out of this. You know, at most, you'll be getting like 25%, 30% more damage. But it's a 0.3% spirit. Supposedly it's the best and rarest spirit in the game, but it's just not. It's mid. Still more damage. Can't go wrong with more damage, so it's decent, which is why we're putting it at B tier. So, finally, that is going to wrap up our spirit tier list. This is going to be the finalized tier list of all of the spirits from order in best to worst. If you guys enjoyed the video, learned anything new, or liked hearing me talk about the game, feel free to like, sub, comment, all that wonderful, wonderful stuff. Have a great day or night wherever you are. Stay tuned for more content. We will catch you in the next one.